Hey y'all, it's your girl Missniecytv, and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 7, Episode 10. The episode starts off with Andy getting a call from Sabrina, and Sabrina's telling her about the doctor's appointment that she had for freezing her eggs and how she has to do these type of injections and all these other tests, and she's scared to raise this baby alone, but she's gonna do it anyway because she started the process, even though the process is hard. Sabrina asks Andy to wish her luck, and she needs luck because she has a meeting to see if she can get the branch manager position. Andy says, "You don't need luck, you got this." And Andy's like, "I actually need luck too because I have a meeting with a new client." They both wish each other good luck, and Andy says, "I gotta go," because Jordan comes in the room kissing all on her and trying to love on her. And Sabrina's like, "You gotta go," because she's trying to get some. Jordan comes in the room and they start getting down to business, but they stop because they hear on the TV that a news anchor is saying that they're outside of Andy's house because they suspect that Jordan is staying there, but he's not. They sit up so that they can pay closer attention to the news report, and it comes out that the story that was against Jordan was fabric. He and Jordan were like, "Oh, thank God, it's finally over." And Jordan was like, "I still don't get it though. How could she say that?" And they believe. Andy's like, "Well, you're a black man in America, and that's how it normally happens." Over at Zach and Fatima's, we see Fatima looking for her phone, and she's playing with little Michael as she's looking for her phone. And Zach is like, "Karen gonna make us broke. He's like double the child support, behavioral and therapy costs, plus school." Fatima's like, "First of all, I could take care of my own school, and don't do this in front of him." Zach is like, "I gotta get my money up." And Fatima's like, "Well, you can start a cleaning." Fatima's like, "Well, I gotta go to work, so you gotta stay here with Michael." Zach is like, "Well, I wanted to go out with the boys." Fatima's like, "Well, you're gonna stay here and watch Michael." When Fatima leaves, we see Zach on the phone and he's calling Gary, and I'm like, "What are you calling Gary?" Of course, Gary doesn't answer his phone. Over at the salon, Karen gets a call and it's one of Pam's customers looking for her, and she's like, "Pam is not here." Then we see Pam walk in with 2 smoothies, and she's like, "2 smoothies for 2 babies." Pam is like, "I heard you and your mom talking," and Karen's like, "Well, I need you to stop eavesdropping." Karen's like, "What I also need you to stop doing is having your customers call here for you." Karen's like, "I'm gonna need you to stop selling your little products." And Pam is like, "Little?" Karen's like, "I'm not trying to get shut down." Pam is like, "I can't give them my address because I'm an influencer now." Karen's like, "What you need to do is get your license, get your affairs in order, and try not to get me sued or shut down." Pam is like, "Double the babies, double the attitude." And Karen's like, "I could show you the attitude." Karen makes it to her office and she's sitting down having a conversation with the babies, and she's like, "I know you're gonna be trouble with all that kicking and wiggling you're doing." And as she's talking to the baby, she gets a call from her doctor. They're like, "Is this Karen?" She's like, "Yes, this is she." They're like, "I'm calling you from the Vanguard Hospital. Dr. Phillips wanted to talk to you because she found something on your test." And Karen's like, "Are the babies okay? What's wrong?" They're like, "The babies are okay. She just wanted to talk to you. Come in tomorrow at 10. Over at the bank, Sabrina's meeting with Miss India, and she's like, "I'm glad you can meet me here before everybody else comes." Miss India is like, "Well, I've been hearing complaints from a staff member about your leadership and accountability." Miss India is like, "I'm sure you understand." Sabrina's like, "Actually, I don't, because I'm always the first one in and the last one out." Sabrina's like, "I also worked my butt off to show you how reliable I am." And she's like, "Don't forget that I was innocent." India's like, "I remember, but I'm just trying to be fair to the other staff member." And Sabrina was like, "You want to talk about fair? When I was innocent, y'all treated me like I was jumping off the side of the road." Miss India was like, "This has nothing to do with you as a person." Sabrina's like, "Well, when I came back, I endured all the shame, still worked my butt off to show you how reliable I am." Sabrina's like, "This is BS right now." She's like, "Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful that you gave me my job back, but I feel like this is old." Sabrina's like, "I'm not asking for a handout, I'm just asking for what I deserve." All Miss India could say after that was, "Okay, and I'll let you know." Over at the law firm, Fatima comes to talk to Andy in her office, and she's like, "Somebody's in a good mood today." Andy's like, "Did you see the news today?" Fatima's like, "Yeah." And she tried it. And he's like, "I'm glad this is all behind us and I can just focus on the Willis case." And Fatima's like, "Speaking of, she's actually here." And he's like, "She's early." Fatima's like, "Yeah, I know, but she's requesting to speak with you now." And he's like, "You can send her in." Marie comes into Andy's office and she's like, "Didn't I tell you Marie don't wait on nobody?" Fatima's like, "Yes, ma'am." Marie's like, "Drop the ma'am and you can leave." Fatima leaves. Marie's like, "Oh boy, dodged the bullet, didn't he? I told you he was telling the truth." Andy's like, "Yes, I know." Maria's like, "I also told you that I'm 3 steps ahead of you and your professionalism has been put into question. I heard that you were a loose woman." And Andy starts giving this campaign speech about how professional she is, and Maria's like, "Girl, I'm not judging you. I have my time back in my day too." Maria's like, "Andy, there's a lesson to be learned. You must never poop where you eat." Andy's like, "I will make sure you get every penny you deserve." Maria's like, "I want all the pennies, even the ones I don't." Andy's like, "No one understands your situation more than I do, and I will make sure you get everything you deserve." Maria's like, "That's why you're officially my counsel, alongside co-counsel, of course." She's like, "I spoke to someone and this young man comes highly recommended." And Andy's like, I could assure you that I'm the best person for the job. As Marie is leaving, Hayden shows up at the door and he's like, Hayden Moss. Marie's like, I know who you are. Marie leaves and he's like, oh, counsel, I guess you weren't for the job. You know, you could just pass the case off to me and you could finish working on your friend's hood rat case. Andy's like, over my dead body. Hayden's like, you're really trying to make my day, huh? When I make partner, hell's gonna seem like a period. Over at the juice bar, we see Danny meeting up with Tony's kids and Tony's in the bathroom and she's like, Tony's daughter's like, he had too much fructose. And Danny's like, well, he actually had a green juice and anything green is healthy. She starts talking to Tony's son and she's like, Junior, do you like anything else besides your phone? Movies, books, human interaction. He doesn't answer and he starts texting his sister and Danny's like, y'all texting about me? Danny takes their phones and Junior's like, hey, you can't take our phones. Danny's like, I can and I just did. And he's like, I know the last time y'all saw me, I looked out of sorts. Brianna was like, you were naked. Danny was like, I wasn't naked. Danny was like, that's besides the point. I actually want to start over and see if we could be friends. Junior was like, well, our friends buy us gifts. Then they start listing all the gifts they want, and Brianna's like, give me your necklace too. Danny's like, I'm not giving you my necklace. Tony comes out the bathroom and he's like, how's it going? Brianna taps on her neck again, and Danny gives her the necklace finally. He's like, Uncle Rich has a nice shop here, and that's when Rich comes over and he greets the kids and he's like, I see you got Danny. Rich is like, did you get that text from Jordan? Rich takes the kids so Tony and Danny Once the kids leaves, Tony tells Danny thank you and Danny is like, your kids are just wonderful. She's like, psych, I'm lying, your kids are actually demons. And Rich is gonna get a earful. And you're gonna pay. And I want my necklace back. Over in Gary's office, we see Gary on the phone with somebody and he tells him that he has to go because Zach walks in the room and Zach is like, I know you know how to use a phone. Didn't you see me calling you 18 times? Gary's like, Zach, what can I do for you? Zach is like, I need my money. Gary's like, I'm not in the position to do that right now because your money's in lockup. Zach is like, lockup. Zach is like, run me my money, my guy. Gary's like, I guess you don't know how investing works. Oh yeah, your last time was your first time, so of course you. Zach is like, I don't have time for this. Run me my money. Gary's like, and if I don't, that's when Zach punches Gary in the face. Gary wasn't expecting that, so Gary gets mad and he pulls out the blicky. One thing I noticed about Gary, he'll pull out the blicky on a man, but he'll act so big, bad, and tough with women because he knows that he can intimidate. Gary doesn't want no smoke when it comes to a man. He's like, so you doing all of this over a little bit of money? Zach is like, don't play with me. I'll send you on a first-class flight to hell. Gary's like, you don't have the balls, and you're a weak bee who can't control his bee. Zach is like, oh, really? If that was the case, I would have took that blicky and used it on you. Gary's like, well, do it then. It's right there. Gary's like, the only reason you're not doing it is because your kids will be a fatherless bastard. Like, Gary, that was too far, but Zach takes the blicky and he empties it. And that's when Penelope walks in and she's like, everything's okay? Zach is like, yeah, I was just leaving. Penelope comes in and she sits down and Gary's like, what are you doing here? Penelope is like, I see you managed to piss somebody else. Back over at the law firm, Pam is there to talk to Andy to see if she can get some legal advice about how to legalize her business because she started Karen coming at her. Andy's like, what are you doing here? Pam is like, I'm here to get some legal advice about my business because I'm an entrepreneur now. Pam is like, you haven't heard about it? It's called Rooster Riches and I think I should get you some because the way your edges look, girl. She's like, I heard about you and your man, y'all. Pam tells Andy that she wants to hire her and Andy's like, I'm not that type of lawyer. So, I'll fix you up with somebody by the name of Jeremy and tell him that. Over at Sabrina's preparing snacks for the sister circles meeting, and as she is doing that, she gets a call from Maurice, and Maurice is asking her, how did the meeting go? Sabrina's like, I actually think I got fired. Maurice is like, why? Sabrina's like, well, I gave Miss Andy a piece of my mind after she told me that there was a staff member who was complaining, and Maurice is like, you know that was Paige, right? Then they start talking about Maurice and Grayson and how their date's gonna go, and Maurice is like, I never kiss and tell. Sabrina's like, you tell everything. Back over at Zach and Fatima's, Fatima cooks dinner for Zach, and Zach notices, and he's like, what happened? Fatima's like, why did something have to happen for me to cook dinner for my man? And then she gives Zach a taste of what she made, right? He's like, if this is the way I go out, so be it. He gives him a taste of the food, and she's like, how is it? He's like, it's cool. Fatima's like, I did all this just for it. It's cool? For real? Zach starts telling Fatima about the whole Gary situation, how he invested in money in Gary back in the day before he knew who Gary was. Tells Fatima how he went to go get the money back and Gary wasn't giving the money back, and how Gary pulled out the blicky on him, and how he wanted to show Gary what time it was, but he couldn't do that because he's a husband and a father now. And I'm like, when did y'all get married? Did y'all get married off camera? Back over at Karen's salon, Karen's getting ready to lock up for the night, and she sees Trey coming, so she pulls out the mace ready to use it on him. He's like, Karen, it's me. She's like, Trey? He's like, yeah, I'm just here to deliver a package. Karen's like, at this time of night, you scared me. Trey's like, you should actually get cameras installed. Karen's like, I was. But that's a story for another day. Trey's like, I can do it for you. Karen's like, no, I'll just hire someone. Trey's like, let me ask you something. Are you scared of asking for help? Karen's like, yeah, I'm scared of being disappointed again. Trey's like, I won't disappoint you. I'll put your cameras up. Over at the bar, Maurice is on his date with Grayson, and they're talking, and Maurice is like, you're single. Maurice is like, why? Grayson's like, because I've been burned too many times, and I want to take it slow, but I might make an exception for the right one. Maurice is like, who's the right one? And as they're talking, some guy comes up. He was like, throat guard, is that you? The guy goes, I was just watching your live last night with the pickles, and Maurice is trying to get him away from the table because he already knows how Grayson is about his job. The guy insists on taking a picture with Maurice, and Maurice is like, get away from here, get out of here. Over at Jordan's house, the guys are meeting up for poker, and they're sitting around talking about their relationships. Jordan lets the guys know that he told Andy that he loves her, and the guys congratulate her. But she didn't say it back, and Tony's like, well, Danny knows our situation and how I'm a dad, and she's getting along with my kids now. And Rich is like, me and Sabrina might not be on the same page, but I really like her. Look over at Sabrina's, the girls have their sister circles meeting, and before Karen gets there, Andy lets the girls know that Jordan said he loves. Andy says she thinks she loves him too, and when Karen pulls up, they order food, because Karen said what Sabrina had wasn't enough for her. Sabrina lets them know she thinks she got fired because of the way she stood up for herself at the job today, and the girls are all proud of her because Sabrina never stands up for herself. Back over at the bar, Maurice is upset because Grayson left him where he was sitting at because of the interaction with the guy from his fixation page, and Maurice is like, Grayson doesn't care about me, he left me here. Maurice decides to take matters into his own hands because desperate times calls for desperate measures, so he decides to send a private picture to Grayson, but he winds up sending it to his mom. The girls leave from Sabrina's house, and Andy's in a car, and she calls Jordan to let him know that she's on her way to his house. The world's worst investigator goes to Penelope. Over in Gary's office, Penelope comes in, and she's like, Gary, we need to talk. Gary's like, whatever we need to talk about, you need to go home, because I don't feel like talking. Penelope's like, you're going to talk to me, and we're going to talk now. Gary's like, are you listening? Go home. Penelope decides to take it upon herself and go in her purse and pull out the picture of Kimberly. Penelope then decides to take the picture and hand it to Gary, and she's like, who's Kimberly Potter? Gary takes the picture and he crumbles it up, right? So Penelope is like, what happened to Kimberly Potter? Gary's like, she went missing. Gary's like, I had nothing to do with it though. Penelope is like, is that what her friends would say? Is that what her parents would say? Gary's like, who told you to go snooping around for information about me? You better be careful what you're looking for because I'm not the guy that you want to mess with. Penelope's like, I don't believe you. Gary's like, I don't care what you believe, but you better get out of my office before I do something I don't regret. Penelope then decides to sit there like a dummy, and she's like, what you gonna do? He's like, what you gonna do? You gonna do me like you did Kimberly? And Gary comes behind his desk, and he's like, don't you ever say that again. And Penelope's like, don't touch me, I'll call the cops. Gary then decides to take it upon himself and throw Penelope to the ground belly first, and it's a whole bunch of blood and gory mess. Gary better be prepared for jail because that's exactly where he going. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. Bye!